Hi, how are ya? Um, it's been a while. Um, Maybe a little more than a while. Listen. I have explanations. I'm just a girl who has, just a lot of things going on, like, not being motivated, um, depression sometimes, Um, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's been so long since I've done anything. I can't even say that I've really super kept up with reading. Um, but I've kept up a little bit. I'm like 7 books behind my goal for the year. But life. I haven't, these past few months have actually been a little bit of a struggle, but it is what it is. I'm trying to actually film a video for once because I have been reading, okay? Not a lot, but I still have been doing it. I actually have a very long video in the works. What is happening here? Hold on. I actually do have another video in the works. It's just taking me a little bit. I'll go ahead and just spoil it a little because it doesn't really matter. It's not like crazy. But I'm gonna be doing an entire review of the Percy Jackson series. I'm still just reading through it. So what I've been doing since January is I've been reading random book Percy Jackson, random book Percy Jackson, random book Percy Jackson, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. So that's why it's taking me so long to first of all do the Percy Jackson video because I've been doing it since like January, but it's also like just other things, right? Shit happens. I don't know if I can cuss this early in a YouTube video, but whatever. I don't care. They're not paying me right now, so I'm a little behind in my what I read in a month videos. So in this one, we are gonna go through what I read in January, February, and March. And I know it is the end of April as I'm filming this, but I'm not including April in this video. That's gonna be a separate one. I'm not putting 4 months. I'm not putting 4 months in one video. I'm not gonna do it. We're doing 3 months in one video, and I just really hope I'm on my game for April and I get it out in time. Okay, but yeah, because again, I wish I would stop doing that with my hair. I said early on that I didn't want to just do what I read in a month. I still want to do them, but I just don't want it to be the only thing that I do. I want to do like themed stuff, like the Percy Jackson video. And I'm going to do that as kind of like an overall series, which is just like rereading things from my childhood. But I'm not going to talk about it a lot in this video. Doesn't matter. I will be mentioning Percy Jackson a lot because a lot of what I read in these past few months was Percy Jackson books. However, I'm not going to be talking about them in this video because I want to save it for the other video. Other than like brief mentions, obviously. But I'm not doing reviews on them because that's for a different thing. It's for a different thing. But we're going to talk about the 3 books that I read in between the Percy Jackson books, which makes it seem really lame. It makes it seem like I only read 1 book a month, which I kind of only read 2 books a month. But there was 1 book that almost made it into the March month. However, I didn't finish it until very early April, so it technically is in April, so I will be saving it for April. And again, I'll only have read 2 books in April, so maybe we'll do multi-month what I read because I'm not reading enough to make whole videos about it. Okay, so in summary, I actually have read 6 books so far this year, which again is not that much, especially since my goal for the year is 50 and I've only read 6 and it's almost May. So, but the 3 of those that were not Percy Jackson books we're going to talk about. And in all honesty, the non-Percy Jackson books that I've read so far this year, I have hated, kind of. Yeah. The only good books so far I've read this year are Percy Jackson. I haven't really enjoyed anything besides that series, and it is a little disheartening, and it's part of what's made reading anything and keeping up with my goal a little hard. It's like I'll tear through a Percy Jackson book and then like drag through the rest, which does suck because Percy Jackson is good, but it's still aimed for like children, preteens, that sort of thing. But, we're still going to talk about the non-Percy Jackson books. How many times am I going to say Percy Jackson in this video? Who's to say? Who's to say? So let's go ahead and we will start with the first book that I read up for January. Okay? I actually talked about this one in my last video. And that book is Final Girls by Riley Sager. Sager? Still never figured it out. 5 months later. I'm literally just gonna read you the description on the inside. Okay? And I'm just gonna tell you what that says. Alright? 10 years ago, college student Quincy Carpenter went on vacation with 5 friends and came back alone, the only survivor of a horror movie scale massacre. In an instant, she became a member of a club no one wants to belong to, a group of similar survivors known in the press as the Final Girls. Lisa, who lost 9 sorority sisters to a college dropout's knife, Sam, who went up against the sack man during her shift at the Nightlight Inn, and now Quincy, who ran bleeding through the woods to escape Pine Cottage and the man she refers to only as him. The 3 girls are all attempting to put their nightmares behind them, and with that, one another. Despite the media's attempts, they never meet. Now, Quincy is doing well, maybe even great, thanks to her Xanax prescription. She has a caring almost fiancé, Jeff, a popular baking blog, a beautiful apartment, and a therapeutic presence in Coop, the police officer who saved her life all those years ago. Her memory won't even allow her to recall the events of that night. The past is in the past. That is, until Lisa, the first final girl, is found dead, in her bathtub, wrists slit, and Sam, the second, appears on Quincy's doorstep. Blowing through Quincy's life like a whirlwind, Sam seems intent on making Quincy relive the past with increasingly dire consequences, all of which makes Quincy question why Sam has sought her out, and when new details about Lisa's death come to light, Quincy's life becomes a race against time as she tries to unravel Sam's truth from her lies, evade the police and hungry reporters, and, most crucially, remember what really happened at Pine Cottage before what was started 10 years ago is finished. This book. If you watched my last video, I mentioned a few times that I was going to be reading it next, and that I was really excited to get into it. This was actually my first book of the month book. When you sign up with the $5 thing that they have, you can pick any book from their collection. So this one is actually from July 2017. So, this was a while ago that they had this one. And I was so excited. I love the concept of final girls. It's one of my favorite tropes in horror. So I was really excited, and I heard so many good things about this author. So I was like, yes, I'm ready. I want to read it. Let's go. And oh man, I was so disappointed with this book. This book took me forever to get through, first of all. It just, for me, dragged on and on and on and on. And I didn't even necessarily hate it while I was reading it, but like I could not get through it. And I didn't necessarily even want to get through it. So it was like a mix of like I was kind of enjoying it, but also like I literally can't get through this book. It was weird. I don't really know. One thing I will say about this book is I really enjoyed the writing style of this. And I think that's part of why like I enjoyed reading it, but I didn't want to get through it. Like I was transported into like this book. However, I didn't necessarily love where we are. So I did enjoy reading it. I enjoy this author's writing. So I will definitely check out more of his stuff. But I just hope it's not the same as this, is all I'm going to say. It felt like we took too long to get to the climax of the book, and then when we finally did get there, it happened very quickly. And I'm not even saying the climax was bad, but it happened very fast, and then it was over. And we did all this build-up, which, to be fair, honestly, after I read the book, I was like, why did we do any of the things that we did in this book? Like, sometimes I'll read a story, and maybe this is not a good thing for me to do, but when I read a story and after I finish it, I'm just like, why did we do any of the things that we've done? Why did we have scenes that we had and conversations that we had at all? Like, why is this a story? Is kind of what I'm trying to get at here. Like, why did this story need to be written? And I feel terrible saying that. I feel like I sound mean, and I'm not trying to sound mean, but it's also like, why was this story written? For whomst was this story written? Because, you know, this is a non-spoiler review, so I can't really get into it, but it's just like, we read these scenes, and we have this journey, and at the end of it, I'm just like, but why did we do these things? And why am I supposed to care? You know? Anyways, is our main character Quincy. She's something. She's fine. I don't really like her. I don't really like any character in this book. I find them all to be not likable in any way. But this girl loves her some Xanax followed by a grape soda shot. Like, all she does throughout this, there are so many sentences where she's just like, I pop a Xanax and chase it with some grape soda. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You take Xanax with grape soda. Do I have to hear it anymore? If I took a shot for every time they talked about Xanax and grape soda, I would be blackout drunk. It feels like, okay, like, we get it, girl. There's also the other character, Sam, in this book. And I don't like her at first. I kind of like her a little bit towards the end. But I don't like her either, unfortunately. I'm gonna be real though. For some reason, when I read this, I was just envisioning Sam as Sam Puckett from iCarly. And the vibes are kind of there. But in this book, Sam was really starting to irritate me because in this entire book, she pushes Quincy so much to do things and like pushes her like emotionally. And to the point where like when Quincy reacts, I'm not even going to say she reacts too out of line, but whenever she does react to the way that Sam is pushing her so much, then Sam acts like Quincy is a monster for reacting to all the shit that Sam puts her through. And I realize, you know, towards the end, we get kind of like this is why she was doing that. But I don't care. I don't care. It's annoying to sit here and read so many instances of Sam just putting Quincy through a little bit of hell and then getting mad at Quincy for reacting. It's just annoying. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. Yeah, all the characters in this book I hate. I hate there's, first of all, a lot of flashback scenes, which I find boring. I didn't really like any of the flashback scenes at all. I just didn't care for them. I found them boring. So, I mean, the later ones are obviously stuff happens, but I feel like when you do a flashback scene, it's supposed to like tantalize you a little bit, right? Especially in a story like this where there is supposedly some kind of mystery happening the whole time. And every time there was a flashback scene, I was like, okay, well, that gave me nothing. It was just boring until the last few. And then it, you know, towards the end of the flashback scenes, and you find out the truth, and it mixes in with the present time of the book. Whatever. They're boring. I will say, one thing I do like. The plot twist did get me. The author does a really good job of not giving it away, which I love. Because I've said this a few times, and I will say it a few times, probably in this video. I have a really hard time when books make it really easy to guess the ending. And again, I don't mind this. I just have a problem with the ending being really easy to guess, or the plot twist being really easy to guess. And this book, you don't have that here. The twist actually did really shock me. I still really can't tell if I like the twist or not. I think overall I'm still just like, oh, like, okay. I don't know. I just can't tell. I just can't tell how I feel about it still. But I will say, when the twist had happened, I was like, oh. And then, like, again, the climax happened pretty quickly. So, went by pretty fast. Overall, I found it very boring. And I didn't really care when I got to the end. And again, I feel terrible saying that. I don't know why. Like, I know I'm literally here like to talk about books and how I feel about them, but I'm also just like a person created this, a person crafted this book. I'm sure Riley put his all into it and really cared about the story. So I feel kind of like an ass sometimes if I don't like something. But again, I do think this author is a good writer. I think he's a fantastic writer, actually. I just need to see it in any other story because this one is not it for me. I'm sorry, Riley. Okay. However, I'm sure maybe someone out there will like this. I don't know. Just be prepared for an incredibly slow burn because that is what it felt like to me. Okay. One thing I also found frustrating in this book is I want to know more about you set up all these cool like horror movie final girl situations. Like I want to know more. Give me more details, especially like Sam. Sam sounds interesting. The sack man. Okay, like I want to know more about that. And then also um there is a scene where the detectives are just like you kind of get a flashback scene, but then also a present scene where the detectives that interviewed Quincy after the thing are like, so you don't remember anything? Really? You're a lying sack of shit. And it's just like, I don't know, that scene was really frustrating just because, like, again, I know, like, it's part of the book or whatever, but I just really get annoyed with stuff like that. So that's just a personal thing. That's just me, okay? But that was a little irritating just because it's like, yeah, bro, you can forget something in a traumatic event. That doesn't mean she did it, okay? But it's supposed to create suspicion in the air. Like, oh, did Quincy do it? Did Quincy not do it? Did she really forget? And I'm not telling you. You're gonna have to read the book. If you dare. So, what did I give this bad boy? I gave it 2.5 stars. Because I was not rocking with it that much. Again, writing was fantastic. The story, I just don't care. I just don't care. I'm sorry. Like, okay, she pops a Xanax and drinks grape soda every 5 minutes. And then there's like a mystery. Cool. 2.5 stars. Good writing. Other than that, also in January, I read The Lightning Thief, which is book 1 of the Percy Jackson series. Not gonna talk about it, but I did read it in January. So, 2 books, not 1. So, now we move into February. And the book that I read for February was Heartless Hunter, book 1 of the Crimson Moth series by Kristen Ciccarelli. I looked it up. So, my opinions changed a little bit since I like did my original Goodreads review and wrote the script for this. I kind of like hate this book. And I kind of want to give it a lower score than I actually gave it, but I'll just at the end I'll tell you what I actually gave it. And we'll adjust. But so this again was another book of the month. This was February's book. And when I read the description, I was like, okay, like I want to read this. This sounds amazing. So I'm actually just gonna read you the little inside tidbit and kind of give you an idea of what's going on here. First it says, enemies to lovers doesn't get more high stakes than a witch and a witch hunter falling in love. Like that was like, okay, that sounds awesome. On the night Rune's life changed forever, blood ran in the streets. Now, in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic, and Rune must hide what she is. Spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rune spends her night as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp. He's a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter loyal to the revolution, and too late, Rune realizes she might be falling for him. Gideon loathes the decadence and superficiality Rune represents, but when he learns the Crimson Moth has been using Rune's merchant ships to smuggle renegade witches out of the Republic, he inserts himself into her social circles by pretending to court her. He soon realizes that beneath her beauty and shallow facade is someone fiercely intelligent and tender who feels like his perfect match. Except, what if she's the very villain he's been hunting? Oh my god. Where do I start with this book? First of all, this is like, to my knowledge, the first romantasy I have ever read. So I was very excited to get into this. And it's an enemies to lover, which is a trope I've never really delved in before. I don't really dip into romance at all. I've had like a little fantasy here and there, but nothing like this. So I was really excited. Witch Hunter sounds right up my alley. However, it was not up my alley. This book does have multiple viewpoints. It flip-flops between Rune and Gideon. It's not like an every chapter sort of thing. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's not. I will say a few things. I really do enjoy like the inside of the book. Like here we have a little map with, I guess, drawings of Gideon and Rune. So that's nice. I actually had someone tell me recently, I wish I could remember who it was, on Discord, that said like this one author, this one fantasy author was like, don't draw a map because then you've like kind of put yourself in a box with what you like can create in that world. Now every time I see a map in a fantasy book, I'm like, and then also on every new chapter, there's like this little, oh my god, you literally can't see it, but there's little like pretty stuff. That's nice. It is pretty. I really do enjoy like the color scheme. However, and I've seen like some other ones have beautiful versions. Like the UK version of this book is gorgeous. There's some other like book company, like monthly book thing that it's like, it's beautiful. And I'm like, I wish I had that version. But I saw that before I read the book. So now I don't wish I had that version. Because then I would have to keep it. This is another book that it took me so long to get through. It felt like sludge. Like the first 100 pages was just like so hard for me to get through. And I don't know why. And again, I'm so new to this kind of book that I don't know if this is how they all are. Like, I don't know if I'm describing something unique to this, or if all romantasy books are similar to this, or what. If you're familiar with them, please let me know. But, like, I don't know. I had a hard time getting through this, okay? So, the four main characters in this book are Gideon, Rune, Alex, and Verity. Okay, those are the four, like, main characters. So Gideon and Alex are brothers, right? And Alex is like Rune's bestie, and he's actually part of like this witch saving group that Rune runs. And Gideon is the enemy in the enemies to lover portion of this, okay? And Gideon is like the head of the witch hunters, right? But of course everyone has to act like they hate witches, so like Gideon doesn't know that Alex is a witch sympathizer. But there's like this like little love triangle where it's like you have Rune be like, oh, do you want her with Gideon or do you want her with Alex? And it's just like I don't understand how anyone can ship Rune with Gideon when Alex is right there. Like it doesn't even, there's not even a little inkling in my body where like, well, maybe Gideon. No, just Alex. Alex is good for you. Alex isn't a piece of shit who wants to kill you and all your kind. I'm just saying. And that brings me to my next point is I hate Gideon with a fucking passion. I have no love or sympathy for this man. I hate him. And it sucks because he is like the second main character in this book. Every other chapter almost is in his perspective and I hate him. And like, I understand this is enemies to lovers, but he literally constantly says that if she turns out to be the Crimson Moth, which she is, that's not a spoiler, like that's the point of the book, he would not love her. So it's like, he literally started the revolution to kill witches like her, and knows that if he finds out she's a witch, he will still kill her regardless of his feelings for her. He says that multiple times during the book, okay? And, like, it also does not feel like they're falling in love throughout this whole thing. It just feels like they're in lust with each other. Because that's all, like, when I'm reading this, I don't feel any, like, oh my god, like, they're falling in love. No, I feel like they just want to, like, fuck each other. That's all it is. That's all it is. There is no like thing, because every time they're together, it's like, oh, I'm falling for him, but he's the witch. He's gonna kill me if he finds out I'm the Crimson Moth, which I am. And he's like, oh, I might be falling for her. She's so hot. And then he's like, but if she's the Crimson Moth, I'm gonna kill her. And it's literally just so shallow and vapid. Like to me, it does not come off as love in any regard. It comes off as just they want to do it. That's all it is. I just can't root for them. I cannot root for Gideon and Rune in any capacity, and it sucks because that is the point. It's an enemies to lover. They're the ones that are supposed to be together, and I just can't root for it. It's horrible. I hate him. Rune deserves better. She deserves Alex. He's right there. Like, Alex and Rune, and part of why I say that too, it's not just because Alex is nice to her. They have like a natural bond, first of all, and real intimacy when they're written together. You can see that connection there that you don't get at all with Gideon. Even when you have moments in the book where they are like being real to each other and whatever, there still feels like this coldness and wall up. And again, I get it's because they're like, oh, she might be the Crimson Moth. Oh, he might know I'm the Crimson Moth. But even then, like, I feel nothing for them. While Alex and her have something real. Like, I really feel like in the writing, like, they have a thing together. There's just no passion with Gideon and Rune. And there's so much with Alex and Rune. I'm like, how is Alex and Rune not the way? How is it not the way? And that's my biggest thing with this whole book, is how am I supposed to enjoy this book and root for, like, the couple that's supposed to be the couple in the book when I hate the fucking guy? He sucks. I don't like him at all. I know I said earlier that I'm probably going to bring this up, but I called the plot twist like halfway through, and it really irritated me because, again, I don't mind if I call the plot twist if the reveal is really good, but the reveal, I just saw it coming miles away, and it had no impact because halfway through the book I was like, oh, this character, blah 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 blah, right? And it just had no impact. Especially, I think I was also just annoyed at this point because I hate Gideon and Rune together. I hate them so much. So I don't know. It's another one that I called. And it was literally just one line. I'm not gonna say the line, obviously, but it was one single line, and I went, oh, this character, da da da, cool. And then the end of the book, it was like, this character, da da da, and I was like, oh, weird. Who would have guessed that one? I actually do have a few pages that I wanted to read a little thing from in this one. When I was reading this book, I actually lost the pen that wrote on my sticky notes, so I wasn't able to do any actual physical sticky notes. I have like literal so many pages in my phone of notes that I took because I lost my pen for my stickies. Alright, so this one's page 278. There's a scene where, like, her and Alex are, like, talking or whatever, and I feel like it's so obvious in this book that Alex is just, like, in love with her. I mean, like, come on. But he's literally just, like, I feel like being so obvious about it. And at one point, it says, Rune had thought he was talking about ruining her and Alex's friendship. Now she wondered if he meant something else. Like, yeah, girl, of course he means something else. What other man would do all of this for you? Gideon wouldn't do this for you. Gideon would kill you on sight. He sucks. Date Alex. There was also another line. This one, it's just it made me laugh when I read it. So there are no actual there's like no like sex scenes in this book. There is like part where they're like they bumped uglies. It gets like a little spicy, but there's no like actual graphic anything. But there's a part where they're like getting into it, right? And then she says, he spoke her name like an incantation. It made the warm ache between her legs sharpen and grow until she was more ache than girl. I kind of like that. It was kind of a bar. It's like a mix up, like I laugh at it, but then I'm also kind of like, real. I'm not gonna tell you who that scene is between, other than just Rune is involved. Another like really disappointing thing with this book is the magic and lore in this book seems so cool, and we don't really get any of it. It's literally like Rune does make a lot of like actual good moves in this book, but there's some times where I'm like, are you stupid? And it's a lot of that and just running around and kissing and stupid Gideon. And the magic, it does not go in depth enough for me. Like, literally, all of the magic in this book is blood magic. Like, the whole thing is that how they identify witches is witches have to use blood for magic. And they usually use their own blood. Evil witches use the blood of other people. And certain spells depends on how much blood you use and if you have to use someone else's. But only the evil spells use someone else's without consent. But whenever you use your blood for magic specifically, you have to, but the scar will turn silver. And there's a whole thing in this book about how, like, the witches would literally, slice themselves in a way to make beautiful patterns with the silver that they used for the magic. And that's, like, so cool to me. Like, I don't know. I think that's a really interesting way to discuss witches. And, like, it's just a different form of magic completely than things that I've seen in other ones, and I wish we delved into that more, and we just don't. And there we do kind of get into a little bit of lore with like the witches and like what happened to lead to like this revolution to where witches are like killed on sight in this city, and we don't really delve into that. However, with the way the book ends, I'm led to believe that in the second book we will have far more of that. But I don't think I would be picking up the second book, so I don't know if it really matters. I've debated because there was a certain point where I was like, yeah, like I'm not really loving this book. However, like I kind of do want to pick the second one up to maybe see what happens. I'm curious, like why not? And then there was a single scene that happened like 10 pages before the end that literally made me so angry that I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. It made me so angry. I had to put the book down for a second. I literally was like, it pissed me off so bad. And it kind of ruined the whole thing for me. It made any desire to read the second book, for me personally, just gone. I just can't continue with what they did. And I can't say what it was, but it was not okay with me. And I don't know. I finally feel like it was starting to have a more positive feel, and then the book just spit in my face. And that's why I'm just like, I don't want to read the second one. I don't care. I just don't care. How am I supposed to read a book where I hate the love interest of the series? Like I just can't. So I rated this 2.5 stars. I kind of want to rate it lower. Like 2 stars at this point. I don't know. I did not like it. I did not like it. And I think part of it, I don't know. Sometimes it was fun. I'm not even going to say it wasn't, but I just hate Gideon so much. I can't enjoy it. I can't root for these two characters because I know that's how it's going to end up at the end of the series. Like, I just don't. I don't like it. And the ending, I wish I could tell you what happened in the ending. I wish I could tell you. And explain why it pissed me off so badly, but I can't. Can't. So, with that, read it if you want to. I mean, when I look at the Goodreads ratings are so positive for this. So that's why I'm like, am I the problem? Am I the one that just doesn't get it? That's why I'm just like, are all romantasy books similar to this? Or is like this different? Like, I don't know. I don't know how enemies to lovers really go. Like, is he really supposed to be that evil? Like, I don't know. I hate him. I hate him so much. I'll give enemies to lovers another shot. But I don't know, man. This really made me upset. I don't know. I just can't. So yeah, 2.5, maybe 2 stars. I don't know. I might move it down. But I did not enjoy this. So I will not be reading the second book. And my plan is actually to give this copy away. I was waiting until I filmed this video so I could like physically have the book and show it, but my plan is to go to a free library and put this in here because I don't want it anymore. I just don't want this book anymore. I'm not planning on continuing the series. It's over for me in this book. And like, no hate to the author at all, obviously. But like, yeah, maybe this is for somebody. Maybe it is. Because again, this is just my personal opinion. I'm sure, and there are people, I mean, look at Goodreads, who love this book. So if you love a good enemies to lover and love triangles and magic and, you know, I will say Rune is kind of a girl boss baddie. So if you like that kind of stuff, this book is for you. I was just not the target audience. I also read Sea of Monsters after this, which, again, fantastic book. Loved it. Won't say anything more. Alright, now that we are out of February, I almost said June. Now that we are out of February, we're heading into March. And the first book that I read for March was The Silent Patient. I hated this one the most, I think. Now that I'm, like, revisiting, like, The Crimson Moth, or sorry, Heartless Hunter, and really think about it, I'm like, did I hate this one more or that one more? And actually, no, I hated this one more. I changed my mind. I did hate this one more. Because I will say, the last one did have charm. Okay? It did have charm. It obviously, like, had a lot going for it. Okay? I'm sure the world that she is building is fantastic. I just will not be participating in it. However, this one, I hate it. I hate it. It was the worst. I actually got through this one pretty fast because the time I was reading this, I was stuck on the register at my job for like 3 days in a row. So I just sat there the whole time in between customers and was just like, so I read this one really fast because I literally had nothing else to do but read. I still did not like it. I hate this one. Also, I decorated my Kindle a little bit since last time. I got a little pop socket. Cute. This is actually from Ivy Resin Shop on Etsy. It's very adorable. Look. And then these are 2 random stickers. I don't know. I'm gonna add more. I actually have a pile of stickers right in front of me, but I think I want to order some, like, different ones to put on there. We'll see. Anyways, The Silent Patient. I'm gonna read you the thing about what the book is about. Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect. A famous painter married to an in-demand fashion photographer. She lives in a grand house with big windows overlooking a park in one of London's most desirable areas. One evening, her husband Gabriel returns home late from a fashion shoot, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into something far grander, a mystery that captures the public imagination and casts Alicia into notoriety. The price of her art skyrockets, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloid and spotlight at the Grove, a secure forensic unit in North London. Theo Faber is a criminal psychotherapist who has waited a long time for the opportunity to work with Alicia. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband takes him down a twisting path into his own motivations, a search for the truth that threatens to consume him. Yeah, I just hated it. I literally just can't say anything other than I just hated it. It was so boring to get through. It was so boring, and I hate the main character so much. He gives me the ick. He made me feel yucky. Like, I did not like it a single time. And again, this was another book that I guessed the plot twist halfway through. And again, the reveal was not fun. I feel like this is the kind of book that you don't want to guess it halfway through. Like, in books of the past, even with, like, Heartless Hunters, like, it was whatever. But, like, The Housemaid, I guessed that one. But the reveal was still so fun and just so, like, whatever that it was like, okay, fine. Like, I'm not mad. You don't... This was not a good one to guess it halfway through. Like, that was, I feel like the only thing it had going for it was that plot twist. And... makes me so mad. There is Um, and again, since it was on my Kindle, I obviously was taking notes on my phone. And at page 195, I'm not gonna say what happened, but I just wrote a note on my phone that just said, OMG, can we make any progress, please? Because every time there was any progress in the story, we would take like a step back, and I was like, bro, like, oh, we're about to get this woman to talk. Just kidding, where we can't talk to her anymore, or we can't do anything, and it's just like, please, can we make some progress in this story? I want to get to the end so I can move on to a different book. I got Percy Jackson to read. This is another book where I ask myself, why do I care about the story? Why do I care about reading to find out what happens at the end? Does finishing this even matter? And those are not questions you should be asking yourself while reading a book. I know I said I thought that a little bit of that with Final Girls, but thinking that with Final Girls was nothing in comparison to this. I was just like, why am I here? Who is this story for? And this is another story that has like mixed reviews. I feel like people either love it or hate it. Like I saw someone give this 5 stars, and again, reading I feel like is very personal. So that's why, like, if someone doesn't like a book I love, I'm not like, because reading is different for everybody. But also, I'm just like, this is 5 stars. Like, good for you. I'm glad you had fun reading it, but I wish I could have read it through your eyes, actually, because I hated this. And I'm not even gonna go into depths with this one because it's just so bad. Like, I just feel like from a mental health perspective, it's just not good. It's just not good. I just feel like somewhere in there, it's just doing more damage than anything good. With any kind of mental health representation or anything like that. And it's just, again, why do I care? Why am I reading this? Do I care if I get to the end and whatever even happens in the end? The answer is no. Like, I finished it and I was just like, okay. That was a book, I guess, that I read. And I normally wouldn't say that I don't recommend a book because I think, again, everyone is different. Reading is very personal. Some people might like something that I don't like. Okay? And some people might hate what I like. So I feel like giving everything a fair shot is fine. You never know, right? However, I will say, if this is on your to be read list, and you think you're gonna try this next, maybe try something else instead. Maybe don't pick this one up quite yet. That's all I'm gonna say. It was really bad. It's not good. I'm gonna read some of the notes that I wrote down in my phone for this, just because the way I take notes on my phone is I usually just write down the page number and then like whatever I'm thinking. So that way, like, if I need context, I just go to the page number, reread it, and be like, oh yeah, makes sense. Okay, so I'm just gonna read you some of these. Also, my beat up fucking Majima phone case. I'm gonna skip anything that's too spoilery because there are like a little like things that would give too much away. Like one of the notes is literally like me guessing the plot twist before it happened, because I'll write that down. If I get to something, I'll be like, is this, just so I could be like, I knew it at that time. And I do this here, and guess what? I was correct. Anyways, besides the point. So I just wrote, bro, leave her ass. T. OMG, can we make any progress, please? The one from earlier. Okay, it's finally getting a little interesting. This low-key sucks. Can we please get to the point? What the actual fuck is going on right now? Oh my god, you have got to be fucking kidding me. I hate this shit. Be so for real right now. And then, fuck character name. And that's where I ended it. It was literally just a lot of me being like, at certain pages being like, at everything that's being revealed. It was so stupid. So stupid. So yeah. I gave this book 2 stars, which, you know what? I take it back for what I said about Heartless Hunters. Heartless Hunters gets 2.5 because it was still way better than this. I almost want to give this less. But I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like it. And just save your time. Just save it. There are much better thrillers out there, much better books that have actual good representation for, like mental health things and anything of that nature. Like this, you don't need to read this. It's okay. Unless you really, really want to. I think you'll be fine. And then also in March, I read The Titan's Curse, the 3rd book in the Percy Jackson series, and that shit was banging. So, I kind of do hate that so far, other than April, which I actually didn't hate April's non-Percy Jackson book. I actually enjoyed it, which I think is a first for the year. I am currently reading the 4th Percy Jackson book. I'm literally so close to being finished. I have less than 100 pages. I'm probably going to crank that out in the next day or two just because I want to finish it for April. But after that, I have 2 Book of the Month books. I have 3. I have 3 Book of the Month books that I have to read, and I haven't read them yet. And I'm really behind. I really need to catch up. So hopefully I'll have more books to talk about soon. Reading has been a struggle. And as you can see, it's partially because every book that I have read has not been good. And I haven't liked it. And if I'm not enjoying something, it is really hard for me to push through it. Other than Silent Patient, and that's just because, again, I literally had nothing else to do but read. Like 8 hours at a register. I'm getting through that, okay? But, yeah. So, overall, yeah. Kind of sucks that nothing was good. But I have hope for some of the next books that I have. One of them it's supposed to be, it's over there. What's it called? Listen for Little Lies, I think it's called. I read somewhere that it's supposed to be similar to that other book that I talked about in in the last video, the one that I actually really liked that I can't think of. I think it's by Kate Alice Marshall. But it's supposed to be similar to that, and that one I really enjoyed. So I'm excited to do that. And then I also, for my other 2, I actually have my first. I'll go get them. Hold on. Okay. It's Listen for the Lie. I don't know what I said, but it's Listen for the Lie, and it's by Amy Tintera. So I've heard this is very good. I'm very excited. This was actually March's book of the month, and I've just been really behind. So I need to read this. This probably won't be my next one after this Percy Jackson, but I will get to it soon. And then I only have one more Percy Jackson, and then I can do something else. I also so this was my actual pick for April's book of the month. It's my first Abby Jimenez book. I've heard very good things about her, and I've wanted to get into romance, the modern romance. So I'm excited about this because the whole premise is literally it starts off as a Reddit "Am I the Asshole" post, and I thought it was funny. So we'll see. It's just for the summer. This was my pick for the month, but then I also did an add-on book, which was Butcher and Blackbird. I have seen so many people talk about this. It sounds right up my alley, so up my alley. It's not even funny. So I maybe should probably lower my expectations because I might get my hopes up too high and then it not be as good as I want, and then I'll hate it, and I don't want that to happen. But I've heard a lot of people do it. Lexi, aka Newly Nova, actually read this in one of her recent videos, but I actually skipped that part of the video because I didn't want to know anything about this book going in. I know a little bit, but I was like, oh wait, you know what? Too much information. I skipped to the next book. So I'm really excited for this one. However, I don't know if I want to do this one next or this one, because I originally was going to do this one, but now I'm I don't know, that one looks good. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm excited. And then May 1st is in 2 days. 3 days. How many days are in April? Doesn't matter. So I have to pick a new book of the month book, and I'm excited. I am realizing this is bad though, because I have too many physical books and not enough space. So I'm actually gonna have to get a bookshelf. But I don't really have room in my room, so I gotta figure out where to put them, and I have to rearrange stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. No one cares. But yeah, so I am sorry that I took so long to make another video. But I'm gonna try and pick up on the book reading at least a little bit, because again, I'm so behind on my goal. It's not funny. And I have books that I really want to read. So I need to really get to getting, because I don't want it to be another 4 months before I like upload another video. So we'll see. But thank you for listening to my unorganized rambling. I literally made notes and stuff this time, and I still just like, it also was a little more difficult because it's been so much time since I read the books, and I'm trying to like kind of recall everything as I'm like doing it. So that's another maybe motivation for me to do these videos more frequently, so that way I'm like fresh, like it's still fresh in my mind, and I can give a more accurate feeling about it. But regardless, I do really love doing these. They really are fun. And yeah, hopefully I read something good soon. That would be awesome. I would love that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you have any book recommendations, please let me know down below. I would also like to get to my jar soon. We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe next month. Well, not April. Maybe May. We'll have something in store. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you have any recommendations for books or anything down below, any comments, if you've read any of these books and you liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. I love hearing people's perspectives. I don't want to just hear the same opinion as me.